Hi guys, it's Chris at Cork and Crown, back in my cider shed with some more cider to try. We continue with the Nightingale's tasting. So let's get on with it, shall we? We had a can yesterday, Disco, the red can. Today we have the blue can. It's called Nightbird cider. I've opened this already. That's why I'm not tipping it on its side so you can see it properly. So yeah, what does it say about this one? It's 4.9%. It says, Nightbird is our sophisticated yet easy drinking namesake, a fragrant and refreshing cider, a wild fermented cider made from dessert and culinary varieties grown on our Nightingale family farm and surrounding orchards. Medium sparkling cider. The last one was medium as well. 4.9%, I've said that. Ingredients: apple juice, water, sugar, malic acid and sulfites. So they're tinkering with it a little bit. Water, it's 4.9, so I don't know if they're just diluting it back to 4.9 to lower the ABV a bit. I mean, that's common practice, don't care that much. They also wash the apples as well, but I don't think you have to include that in the water content, if you like, because you have to wash them. That has to happen. And it's a minimal amount of water as well, I suppose. Sugar, not sure whether there's any sugar, because I assume it's forced carbonated. Malic acid, so again, sugar and malic acid, sweet and sour they're adding, and sulfites, which is totally fine. It's totally normal. In fact, using wild yeast, they might have added a little bit of sulfite just to get rid of some like apiculate yeasts and some other things that they don't want, because actually the yeasts that are going to do the fermentation, they're quite tough. They can take a higher level of SO2. It's quite cool. So at a small amount, gets rid of a certain amount of the yeasts and the things that you don't want, but what remains is the yeast that you want that will do the actual fermentation. So yeah, SO2 doesn't kill everything at the same level. So you can tailor it depending on how much you want to sort of inhibit, if you like. Cans, gotta love cans. I love cans. Cans are great. I mean, the reason cans have a bad name is because people have already put shit stuff in cans. You know, as soon as people start putting good stuff in cans, people's perception of cans changes. Isn't that strange? Cans are lighter, therefore they're more ecologically friendly to travel, to transport, if you like. They're lighter. They drop them, they don't break. If you put them in the fridge, they chill down faster. They're more easily recycled than glass. And look at that, easy to open as well. What's not to love about a can? I think I'd love more great cider to go in cans. In fact, I know somebody with several canning lines, mobile canning lines. So if you want to put some stuff in a can, or you know somebody who does, let me know. I can put you in touch with the right people. I think they'll do 1,000 litres minimum, but it doesn't have to be 1,000 litres of the same thing. You can do several things as long as it's 1,000 litres. You don't have to put one thing in a can, put several things in a can, as long as it adds up to 1,000 litres minimum, which isn't that much actually, I don't think. Anyway, blah blah. Shall we smell it? Yes, please, Chris. All right. Oh, I poured it out. Didn't show you the colour, did I? Did I show the colour? It's very pale. There you go. But that's what we expect. These aren't bittersweets. They've got loads of tannin in. You don't expect them to gain loads of colour. Quite delicate nose, quite floral. Yeah, it feels like it's a little bit more delicate than the one that we had yesterday. It's wild yeast again, but it's not. There's no funk. There's no kind of craziness to it. It's like it's very clean, very clean. Soft, round, perfumey, floral. I want to say. Maybe hints of like melon. Something like that, yeah. And so again, there's a sort of slight creamy element which you got in the last one as well. Let's taste it. Great CO2, actually. If this is forced carbonated, which I assume it is, they've done it really sympathetically. It's brilliant. Bubbles are quite fine. It's great. I love that lack of fizz. It's fantastic. It's perfect. Just spritzy enough to make it pop in your mouth, but not so much that it masks the flavour. This feels richer, even though it's slightly less strong. It feels like a richer, sweeter, more exotic. I feel almost like lychee character to this, I think, which actually I really like. Yeah, it feels like it's gone like to the east with the flavour profile, like more Asian. That lychee character feels a bit more tropical. It's very pleasant, actually. Very pleasant. I think I might like this one more than the Disco, actually. And this one's blended to taste. And the Disco is like you get just a single variety. So you can't it's one variety, it's one vintage, it is what it is. Whereas this, you can try different varieties till you get the flavour profile that you want. So actually most ciders are blended, because actually blended ciders tend to be better. You know, single varieties aren't the be all and end all. Blended can be great. I don't know if you can hear, there's a buzzing noise. If you're watching a couple of films ago, I said there's a bee coming in. It wasn't a bee, it was a wasp. And there's a wasp building a wasp's nest in my shed, directly above my head. It's a pretty amazing thing. I know I'm going to have to get rid of it at some point, but there's this wasp building this thing, and it's a beautiful structure. I'll take a picture at some point. And I feel the amount of effort and time it's taking, this wasp, I don't want to destroy the thing, because it'll be heartbreaking. I know I'll have to, but my goodness me, it's a wonder of nature what this thing's doing. Anyway, off on one there, wasn't I? You know what? I like this one more than the disco, I think. This is actually, it's round, it's rich, it's sweet, it's got that kind of lychee character to it. It's gentle, it's not too spiky in terms of the acid, but there's enough acid there to balance the sugar, which it is medium, but it's medium, let's say, it is. But it doesn't feel cloyingly sweet in any way, shape or form. It's alright. I'm going to pour a bit more out. It's not bad. So there you go. I mean, as I said before, my palate goes more towards tannins and so forth. So for those sort of, dessert culinary style ciders, they don't tick all the boxes for me just because I kind of like that tannic edge. But having said that, this is nice. It is nice. It's nice. I'm going to try more and more of stuff like this, because I think I've avoided it. And I think it's unfair. I think it deserves a platform, and I'm going to give it a platform in my shed, whether it wants one or not. All right, guys, there you go. So, as always, thank you for joining me. We will continue our Nightingale journey. But until then, cheers.